Hopefully this updated. Last time, I swear, guys. I should have done a tester before this, but I didn't think about that. Last time, I swear, guys. I should have done a tester before. I'm back too. Thank you so much for being so patient with me and coming back. Guess who's back? Back again. Your local, dork. Me. Me, the local dork. Basically. I did a whole bunch of stuff today, and I was messing around with OBS, and so I didn't think about all the implications. Taylor's back again. Exactly. I didn't think about all the implications, and I was trying to have an open panel, but I don't think I added the layer to OBS the right way. I think I tried to do too much, and it was just messing it up. Let's see. Yeah, it sounds good now, so let me know if that happens again. It's not making that flickering sound on my end anymore, so that is good. Thank you for showing up, guys. I am so effing sorry for those of you who bared with me through that and kind of were like, what is going on? I appreciate you too much. So let's see. Delete. Now let me share this to my socials. Oh my gosh. So yes, today has been wild. We obviously, personally, I thought Keemstar was going to be doing his video, a little bit, like I thought he was actually going to be doing like a live stream, to be honest, but apparently that's not what he was going to be doing, which I was like, darn, because I really wanted to have that live stream because people mess up on live streams, you know what I mean? But I mean, I understand why he would want to edit something like this because it's going to be a complete shit show, I think, in my mind. And, yeah. So the tweet that he had today, I thought was just completely ridiculous. I thought, okay, dude, like, come on now. So let's see. If you guys want to join my Discord, I would love to have you guys in my Discord. Discord might work a little better. So let's see. You can pop into my Discord in the general chat, and we'll see if that sounds a little better. I'm in Discord, and if you guys want to be in Discord too, the ones that want to go on panel with me, it's a little easier than StreamYard, I guess. So we'll test that out and see how that works, and then if that works well. Tester.
Hello.
Let me make sure this is working a little bit better. I think I fixed it. Doesn't have that audio sound. I think I was just trying to overload the system. Tester.
Maybe.
Yep, you're good. Now it's all good. So we'll just have to stick with Discord until I work out the kinks on how to stick it into OBS, I guess you could say. That sounded very vulgar. Wow. Stick it into OBS. So reacting to videos might not be like our go-to thing, like on panel, but we can totally discuss things. I mean, we've all basically seen what's been going on. And then you can obviously hear what goes on when I play a video, and then so you may not be able to get the visual aesthetic right now, but I will be working on that. My goal, you guys, is to have just open panels, maybe like ever so often. I'm not going to try to schedule my open panels right now. That's a lot going on, but you know what I mean? Like, just have that option for us here.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, and then yeah, if you guys want to join my Discord and come chat in the Discord with us, we have it open. The link's in the description box. Taylor's back. I'm in the hospital still waiting. I'm so sorry. Volume is a little low. Let me try to turn that up. Let's see. Go a little low there. Go a little higher. I don't want to make it too crazy because I think that was my problem before. Keem is going to milk this for all this is worth. I agree. I absolutely agree. The way that Keem kind of tried to, for lack of a better term, stay not maybe on like a fan side of Onision, right? But definitely not on like the enemy side. And then even today in his Twitter post, or like I don't even know if it was like a Twitter post or if it was a whatchamacallit, a Snapchat thing. He's like, I just wanted Onision to get his side of the story out because it's never been like something that's, he's never been able to do that. And it's just like, what? I'm sorry.
Well, my problem is that Chris Hansen, amongst many other people, have offered interviews to Onision, but they're always met with, "Well, you have to pay this much for me to come on for an interview." And it's like, how did he get an interview with Onision of all people without a pay, without some sort of deal worked out to where Onision's benefiting from it? Because Onision never does anything unless it benefits Onision.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that I have noticed and seen. He hasn't done any of the videos that he's recently done where he's describing his, and I want to emphasize his version of the truth, which I know that deep down he knows is completely just strung out and not even remotely true. Like, he is trying way too hard to get people on his side because of the viewers that he accumulated during that time period where he was uploading those like rants, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term, where he was trying to troll people. How do you feel about that time period? It was like a couple of months ago. It was like in December where he was like the kombucha time period. I guess we can quote that as. I felt like he knew exactly what he was doing. I felt like he was using this as an advantage to get new viewers, and then he planned trying to tell his side of the story completely false, right? To, I guess, manipulate those newer viewers so that he could try to build somewhat of a little bit of an army against, the people speaking out. What do you think that's kind of like totally off the bar there, or do you think that's kind of like a little bit?
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head, so to say. But I think also, I think the kombucha videos and then the 30 videos he uploaded that one weekend, I think they were all being used as bait to essentially bait somebody into wanting him on their platform, and he was just trying to wait for the right person. And Keemstar offers it, and because Onision doesn't do any research, because I looked at his channel and some 3 years ago he was speaking out it seemed like, I didn't watch the video, but it seemed like the video title implied that he might have been speaking out in Sarah and Billy's defense at the time when it was going down. But suddenly now Onision and Kai are innocent of all the accusations flung their way and whatnot. He's Keemstar doesn't have any sort of um, honor, I guess you could say, in standing on any particular topic. He will quickly switch his entire opinion if it means making himself a quick buck.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like the Day 05 situation when that went down, and he claimed, "Oh well, they're just pranking each other." That's happened in my household. I wouldn't necessarily label it as abuse. And then not 2 or 3 days after, he backtracked all that, said, "Oh well, I was wrong and it's abuse." The only reason he backtracked on any of that is because his fan base turned on him at that point, and he started to see that he was going to possibly start bleeding money. And like with Keemstar, it's just like with Onision. You have, if you want to get the real Keemstar, you have to hit their wallet.
Yep, exactly. And I'm gonna play. Drop my phone. I'm just all over the place tonight. I'm gonna play a little reaction video for us, and I think you saw it. You linked it in the Discord, the Twitter post that I saw earlier today with Keemstar.
That was somebody else. I didn't link.
Oh, okay. Well, it was linked in my Discord earlier today, and to be totally honest with you, the way that he describes, "I get more views," and he's like screaming it, and then he like giggles, and it's like this insane giggle that just freaked me out personally. It freaked me the hell out. I'm gonna play that really quick for you guys. Let's see.
I don't know. The only thing that really freaks me out about him is how he does not seem to understand what a pair of scissors is to be able to maintain that god awful beard of his.
So true. Okay,
He literally looks like the guy that deals meth down the street from me.
I'm about to interview Onision, and
okay, so I'm gonna play this really quick for the chat.
Cool.
I'm about to interview Onision, and I must say, I'm fucking scared.
Oh my god, can we like
fucking scared.
Like, I will admit that I have like probably the worst sounding laugh, but like he doesn't seem to be self-aware of his own like laugh at all, because that's just that sounds like he might be a tad bit insane.
Yeah, like that sounded insane.
Or almost forced, really.
Yeah, like it was just like, what?
I mean, part of it might be some nervous tension, but the problem I have with that is that it's just an interview. If all you're going to do is question Onision on what he's doing, he has no reason to back out, because then you're just going to end up making more money. Like, oh well, I asked the hard questions and Onision chickened out because he's a chicken, so I guess I was wrong about the guy. I mean, it's just he doesn't make any sense at all.
He doesn't, like, at all, and I completely agree with you. So this is a little bit of a long little, like, I guess, video uploaded to Twitter. I've never seen somebody upload 2 minutes of talking to Twitter, but it's got 126,000 views. Can you fucking believe that? That's his Twitter post.
Keemstar is a little bit more active on Twitter than he really is on YouTube, and I think it's just mostly because I think he's always when he started off, he seemed to really enjoy interacting with his fans all the time. But then when he started, doing his shady stuff, he started getting the haters, and now he doesn't really interact with them as much. But I think this is his way of being able to still communicate with his fans without actually having to communicate with them.
Yeah, and like that makes a lot of sense though, because like you see that a lot of the time with a lot of the like the bigger, I guess, creators, the ones that really just sort of make that turn, I guess you can say, more rather, where they lose touch with their fan base, and that really is just a recipe for disaster, in my opinion, because like I think the only reason I ever started, and a lot of people ever start, is because they want, community and like that connection. And for me, that's so much more important than views and I guess clout, for lack of a better term. Let's see what he has to say, guys. See the fuckery that's going to come out of Keem's mouth.
I'm about to interview Onision, and I must say, I'm fucking scared. I am. Like, I'm nervous, right? Like, I don't know how you cannot be nervous. Like, first of all, the information on Onision is so big. It's so massive. There's so much stuff. Like, when people make, like, Onision exposed videos and they're talking about everything, like, everything involving Onision, these videos are, like, 1 hour and, like, 30 minutes long. They're, like, documentaries, right? So it's in drama alert, in the form of drama alert, like, it's literally impossible to go through every little detail. What I wanted to do originally is I wanted Onision to just have a chance to defend himself, because he's never gotten a fair chance to actually do that. He just hasn't.
No, he has.
And I know the massive Onision haters, that the same people that are saying, by me giving
like so many people have wanted to interview him
too. I must be a pedo
to give him a fair chance.
Interviewing Onision. I know you guys.
Repsion back in the day gave him a chance to talk and to debate him, and he pulled some stupid stunt with Repsion. Repsion's like, if that's the way you're going to be about it, I don't want to do this anymore. And then like Greg, sometime after that, gets on live stream and has a sock to represent Rupsion, and it's just debating a sock essentially, and it's just like the man didn't want the interview. Like there's something going on. I just feel like maybe Keemstar maybe lied a little bit to Onision, because you listen to that video and you watch the actual video where he loads up a snippet of the video that's supposed to be coming up at the interview. And I mean, I haven't heard Greg use the tone like he did in that clip until the Billy the fridge stream, when the other guy asked Onision about his daughter falling out. Like it was like it's immediate. Like Greg goes from being fake to like, what did you say?
Yeah.
And
Kane Ashford says, Philip DeFranco, I believe, and asked and got a bill for $10,000. Are you kidding me? Yeah, like why isn't Keemstar getting billed? And if Keemstar is getting billed, like did Greg actually pay it? That's what I want to know. I have a feeling.
that's why on Twitter I've been asking for like some sort of receipts as to this arrangement this came to, because from the way I see it now, I wasn't very active on Twitter the past couple of days, but from what I have gathered, it seems like just out of the blue, Keemstar wanted to interview Onision. Onision was cool with it because he was retweeting some of Keemstar's tweets because he unprivated his stuff long enough to do that. And
Oh wait, guys,
there
we
was
got
no
a
talk
super
of any
chat.
sort
Thank
of
you so much for
exchange on
your
Keemstar's
love.
part. Of course, Greg's not going to say anything about it. Why would he? And that's why I want some receipts to it, because there had to been some sort of direct message exchange, or if there was a phone call, I wouldn't imagine why Keemstar wouldn't have recorded it just for backup. I mean, you're dealing with Onision, you want to make sure you got everything recorded, or there's some sort of proof out there at, in some fashion.
Yeah.
But regardless of the communication um, method, he should have some sort of receipts on the arrangement about it. And if he's not sharing those, then it's quite likely he exchanged something for it.
Exactly. I want to thank you so much, Cherish, for your super chats. I just put in the Streamlabs Streamlabs super chat stuff today, and I hope it showed up on the screen. But if not, I'll have to fix it. You guys, today has been a tech issue day. I agree with you. Show some sort of proof, because like we all know this is Onision pattern, and he either just made bank, or he, and to agree to do this video, or Keemstar paid a lot for the views, because he knows that the turnover, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term, is going to be quite massive. I mean, he even addresses it in a little bit of like this like video, which we'll kind of finish that. I do want to pay a little attention to the chat really quick though. Didn't Onision block Keem though? And yeah, he did block him, but Keem just kept pushing it, dude. But then I think Keem knew to stop at a certain point. Like Keem knew to just chill out, let the fire burn really, really hot, right? And then as things started to kind of dwindle down a little bit, which it hasn't completely gone away, but it has dwindled down just a tiny bit. If you look at it like with sense, right? Basically, for lack of a better term, that's when he knew to strike. That's my opinion with Keem. I think he was very, very strategic in this, because he knows how to, I think knows what it's like to be the bad guy. So he had a different perspective when a lot of the other creators, I mean, some of them, who've offered Onision a platform, right? They have been a bad guy. And not every single creator has had a perfectly clean, squeaky reputation. But I don't think a lot of them have understood to the level of Keemstar's situation, right? So I think he knew on a different perspective when to strike and when to say something, how to say it, to get in the mind and to kind of bait essentially this whole situation. So I kept referring to the fact that he was like, I think he was playing that level middle ground. You know what I mean? Like where he wasn't straight up just attacking Onision. He's like, I'm just not going to react to this because all these other little dumb drama channels are. And, you know, he was trying to fish us, I guess you could say, out of the whole situation when not all of us. And I will say some people, you know, like RSN, for example, a lot of these smaller content creators have really bad intentions with it, despite them covering it for years or whatever, despite how they think that they're the only ones who can possibly cover this, or because they've claimed it, or whatever it is that they think. Like, intentions mean everything. And if you really don't have commentary to give, don't just repeat the same crap over and over and over again. That's why they have YouTube tools. Now it's okay to go over opinions. It's okay to kind of refresh people's memory in your like live streams or something like that. But to literally react to the same videos over and over again, to me that spells, you know, just not pure intentions, not good intentions. And you can see the ones that do have good intentions because they talk about other things, or they have the kind of commentary that brings a new topic to the table every time, more rather than just bleeding the whole same thing out over and over.
For me as an avid YouTube viewer, like I basically replaced YouTube for my cable. I don't really watch any cable anymore. But for me, I judge, if especially if it's a man, but I judge it based on like what kind of sense of honor does the person have, really. I mean, you when it comes to dealing with Onision, you've got two people. You got the people who actually genuinely care about the situation going on and actually want to prevent any more victims from suffering at the hands of both Onision and Kai. And then you got the people like Keemstar or Nicholas Diorio or any of the others who just want to sit there and be contrarian because they know if they um, say the right thing that they can get immediate attention, because the anti-O crowd is so sensitive to the idea of anybody critiquing the victims, which, you know, we can argue all day whether that's okay or not, but really the only reason people like Nicholas the Oreo and Keemstar exist is for that reaction.
Exactly. Welcome to the chat, Snorkel. All he has to do is take two phones and text message himself everything he wants to make it look like he's innocent. Hopefully Keem will confirm if they are real receipts or not. That's a good point to make there, because spoofing text messages is actually something a lot of people do. A lot of, you know, influencers or just any sort of social media platform, like runners, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term, do have more than one phone. I myself have more than one phone to give out, you know, if I need to, people that I trust, to give out a number to them that is just on that phone directed directly for YouTube. It's not like something that if it gets leaked, I'm going to be like super scared about it, because I've been doxxed in the past. So that's why I essentially got two phones. But
oh yeah, a lot of people have burner phones.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's just a good idea to have one if you're dealing with your own, like say your own business, because you run a YouTube channel and that's technically a business and you're the business owner. It's a good idea to have a burner phone like that. But I don't even think he'd go through the trouble of getting a burner phone, because just how stupid Onision is. I think the more simpler and much more logical idea would be that he would Photoshop the actual text, because I mean that could easily be done, and it doesn't take, you know, buying a second phone and trying to figure out how you're going to mask everything. All you have to do is get the proper text format as a picture, and then you can just fill in with whatever you want.
Yeah, and there are sites out there that do this, and that's why, you know, a lot of the times, let's say for this to go to court, right, a lot of those text messages would have to be verified through cell towers that you'd have to apply for, and a lot of the time that's getting harder and harder to do now. While it isn't impossible, for something like this old, for example, in a lot of the situations, that's a little bit more difficult. I know it has to kind of be fresh. I have worked for a few different phone companies in the past, and it's like over 5 years ago, and I'm not going to say which ones because that's just like kind of like doxing myself or giving more information about myself than I want to. But in regards of knowing and being asked before for the transcripts of text messages, there's a big process that you have to go through. There's like numbers you have to call, there's applications you have to fill out. So it's
And
a bunch of
there's
different
not even
things.
really any guarantee that by
Yep.
the end of that path that you're going to get it, because most cell phone companies unfortunately delete all that kind of information.
Yep.
And that's why when it comes to the investigation with the FBI involved, I'm sure that the FBI could get in touch with the NSA, because the NSA has every bit of information on every American logged somewhere that they mull through and look through all the time. So I mean, if there's any evidence out there against Onision to prove them to be in the right or the wrong, it's probably the only way we'd ever probably find it is if somehow somebody got a hold of the NSA.
Yeah. I do want to say, guys, that my super chats is open and donations are welcome. If you could like up the stream, that'd be awesome. And if you're new here, subscribe and ring that bell so you get notified. Let me see. It's not a bad decision making YouTube, or it's not a bad decision making or YouTube drama when it's like 4 years of consistent and abusive, manipulative tactics. I agree. I mean, like, it is, to interview somebody. I think that's what you're referencing here. I'm sorry, I'm reading a little bit late your comment, but to me, I think that the way that he's going about it, though, is it's just so sloppy. You know what I mean? Like, he's just making this
He
really, really bad.
didn't do a lick of research before he even decided that he was going to do this. Like, he literally went into there blind with the intention of defending Onision Kai, and I think that's why he got the reaction he did. And he's like, "Oh, everybody hates me because of blah 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 blah." And it's like, no, nobody likes you because you don't ever do your research when you want to hop on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
Like,
And, like, I
and
think there was a comment he made.
not only that, I've not seen anybody else address it. Not that I've looked very hard for it, but nobody seems to be addressing the fact that 3 years ago he seemed to be, from at least what I saw, possibly defending the victims, and now he's gone and turned and said, "Oh well, these are excluded by my arbitrary standards." But Sarah, that's a real problem. And it's like, sadly, not even Sarah is really we don't really have anything pertaining to putting Onision in jail when it comes to Sarah, because still, when it comes down to it, grooming isn't even illegal in the US.
Yeah.
And if we have anything, I think the anti-O crowd, if they want to really stick it to Greg, I think the only thing we're going to be able to really get any action on is if we can possibly somehow prove his negligence of his kids, because I mean, we have some solid proof about that, and that's not exactly proof that, I mean, that happened last year, so it's not like there's any sort of statute of limitations on it even just yet. And if anything else, it'd be a whole lot easier to probably gain people like Keemstar on our side if the anti-O crowd wasn't so busy trying to push this. Well, he groomed Sarah. Yeah, he did. Well, he did this to Billy and Shiloh. Yeah, he did. But there's no solid evidence that way.
And
But
what I
there is
can
some solid evidence to show that he might be abusive towards his daughter.
Yeah, exactly. And what I can say from personal experience, guys, is when I was younger, and I know a lot of you who have been here for a while know this, but when I was a very young teenager, like just getting into my teens, so preteen, I was molested. And it took all the way until I was 17 and a half years old, so many, many years in court to actually get a final, I guess, piece of justice with the individual. There was a lot of things I had to go through. There was a lot of proof that we had to have. So to take somebody on legally in court for like molestation or grooming for rape, for example, because those were two counts that I guess we were able to achieve. The amount of proof that is undeniable, it has to be like, it has to be black or white. Like, it literally has to be so clear. The intent, the proof of afterwards, the proof of like the premeditation, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term. And there's so many different steps and lawyers fighting back and forth for years. I remember it was very traumatic. So this too, I know a lot of people want to see like results. But there's so many things that if this were to go to court, right? Like, let's say tomorrow some miracle were to happen, and Sarah announces on Twitter that it's in court now, she can't talk about it anymore. I don't think we'd see something from my personal experience of going through a trial like this for years. And they wouldn't be allowed to talk about it if they were smart. You know what I mean? Like,
and if somehow by some other miracle, Onision wants to be able to get the funds together to be able to fight it, it could go on for even longer.
Yep, exactly. And it's really just about, lawyers can go on for ages. I mean, I've had to sue somebody in the past. They can go on for years.
At best, like Sarah and the other victims are looking at maybe a settlement out of court over it, and maybe Greg gets slapped with a couple of legal bindings or whatever, like being registered as a sex offender and whatnot. But I mean, the likelihood of him going to jail is and has always unfortunately been pretty slim.
Yep.
However, if somehow they were to throw in the child neglect and possibly find out any child abuse, that could heavily impact Greg and that could be his most likely way to go to jail. Because I mean, when it comes to a child, especially your own child, like the courts don't like mess around with that. They need proof, yeah, but I mean, it's a lot easier to prove that abuse is happening to a kid than really to a preteen, because with a child, if abuse is happening and somehow it's found out, nobody's going to suspect that the child's lying about it, or that the injuries that the child sustains, especially in a physical injury sense, they're not going to try to argue that, well, Greg didn't hit his daughter. They're not going to argue that. But you can make arguments against Sarah and Shiloh and plenty of others.
There's an interesting comment in the chat from Bella Chan. Matt, he's smart enough to use his spouse to reel in his victims. What do you guys feel in the chat about Kai? What do you guys feel about, I guess, his role in all of this? And for me, there's so many different things I could dive into with Kai. At first, being as young as Kai was, I do feel like there was an element of innocence to this, but I do think that Kai knew exactly what was going on when sending photos, when participating in the things going on behind the scenes, when condoning Onision's behavior. I mean, what do you guys think, though? I really want to know what you guys think in the chat, because, like, to me, the conversation is not like, oh, we have to completely agree with each other on this. I think that Kai is just as responsible, if not, quite a bit more, because of the actions taken with Kai. And then you see like the Onision stuff where he's saying, oh, Sarah, RAPD, Kai, and to be honest with you, I don't think that is at all stands up at all. Just because somebody in the heat of the moment says, oh, I'm sorry for, that could have been sarcastic, that could have been in a totally different tone than what Onision is painting it out to be. And it's not like he has any proof or evidence that it was like a complete confession. I think that it's something that he's twisting, and a lot of the type of manipulation that Onision that we've seen is that, I guess you could say, like, for lack of a better term, trying to discredit anybody who speaks out against him. And a lot of these people with these intentions, they do that. They'll take something that you say and they'll twist it to no end. and they will twist it so much so to where, like, the newer people who don't do the research or whatever, they kind of, they have no choice but to believe it until they learn for themselves. A lot of people in the NCO community first started out as, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term, a fan. Some of the people that have spoken out about against his actions and Kai's actions started out as fans. It took them learning on their own and seeing the manipulation tactics on their own with other people, themselves sometimes, to really truly get the full perspective. And even then, it's like nobody can really understand the full perspective of anything that they didn't live through themselves. You know what I mean? Let me read
Hmm.
the chat really quick.
My personal opinion on Kai is that I think this is just because I'm cynical and nihilistic, but I think Kai, in some kind of form or fashion, was always a predator, and I think Greg just sort of nurtured that part of her because I feel I don't feel like you could be something as horrible as a predator or as an abuser without having that already in you. And I think it goes back to her raising. She seems like, and I might be wrong because I don't know much about Kai's background. I mean, I don't think really there's a whole lot of information out there about Kai, but Kai's background is probably that rich white girl who never really had to get a job, never really had to work for anything, and was on the internet way too much growing up and became desensitized to the idea of being a predator because it was, it's been joked about so much. I mean, there's that running 4chan meme of pedo bear, although it doesn't exactly promote the idea of pedophilia, it puts the idea into people's heads. And at some point in time, I think certain people who might have a disposition towards that sort of behavior end up becoming actually desensitized to it, having already not having the fortitude to be able to resist it, and become what they become, which is essentially what happened to Kai. I don't think Kai's ever really been innocent, in my opinion, because it's there's no way somebody like Kai, just like there's no way that Greg was always innocent. I mean, I was listening to just a while back. I was listening to an interview with somebody who supposedly went to high school with Greg, and I mean, he was the same then as he is now, just escalated, just far worse in some aspects. But I mean, it's always been about sex with him, and so I think that's the way it is with Kai.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think the two of them nurtured that within each other, kind of like a Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah. I just want to send you some love, Witchy Williams. I saw your comment, and I wish you nothing but light and love surrounding you. I am so very sorry that that is something that has happened to your family. I just wanted to send you some love. Let's see. And Ethan says Kai probably has been a predator, and Greg just brought that side of her out. They both Bonnie and Clyde in the relationship. I agree. I think that they ping pong off of one another. I think that it takes two to tango in a situation, for lack of a better term, and they very much knew what was going on. I highly doubt that if Kai were innocent in the situation, that he would be as would be as silent, because he's very silent right now. The reason he's silent, that spells guilt to me. That spells, you know, having a lawyer for a father and talking to your lawyer father, and your lawyer father saying, okay, your chances are very slim here, you better shut your mouth. um, that's what I see.
Oh, I mean, Greg admitted himself that he was told to be quiet by members of his family or members of Kai's family. I forget which one he specified, but he was told to shut up, and that's when we got the 30 videos in one weekend. Where through some of it, there is some like inconsistencies in his story. Of course, there's going to be inconsistencies, but
Yeah.
I mean, not. I think Abraham Lincoln said it best. He said, "Not no man has the enough memory to be a successful liar,"
Yeah.
and that's essentially Greg in a nutshell.
Exactly. I mean, when somebody is lying, and let's just talk about like the psychology of it all for a little minute here. When somebody is lying, they can basically they have to remember all the little details that they first once told somebody. And let's say years and years and years go by, like in this situation, you see the contradictions. But when somebody is not lying, there's like that, 1%, 2% word change over time and maturity, and maybe you've done, some growing and vocabulary changing, right? But like they relive the situation in their mind and it won't change. It's because it's actually the truth that actually happened. That's a lot of the time how you can find out what certain things are, like particularly in a relationship or in a friendship, what things are lies or not.
And also, unfortunately, sometimes some errors that you might find in perhaps a victim's behavior, victim's statement, is sometimes from the gaslighting. Because sometimes people gaslight you to an extent where you don't even trust your own memory, because you don't know, you can't say one way or the other what happened,
Mm-hmm.
because in your heart you might feel like you were abused, but there's this other part of you that says, well, what if so and so that's gaslighting me is right?
Yep.
It's always an unfortunate situation to be put in when you're the victim of any sort of abuse.
Yeah. And Greg, he does do a lot of gaslighting, manipulative tactics, love bombing, um, and
Oh, Greg could power a city on as much gaslighting as he does.
oh yeah, like I wouldn't even disagree with that at all, because like it's a skill to master, and unfortunately to say it like that kind of gives me chills, because unfortunately it is a skill. But the thing is though is it's truly something that you have to work at, or you're just naturally good at due to some sort of I guess ability. And my thought process is that Onision is just naturally good at it, but that he has also taken it upon himself to try to better the skill. And the more that he has done it, which he has done it quite a lot, the better he gets and the more successful he becomes. And so there was a point, and I can't remember where I heard it, but there was a point where people were like saying that this is just the phase, this is just step by step for him, and he has already been through this before, and he's already done these things before, and that's 100% true. He has gone to this place before. I mean, yes, right now it's in a massive, massive level, and I don't think that has ever been done before to be covered this much.
Yeah, this cycle is completely different than any of the previous cycles. Before, it would just be Greg does something bad, the internet reacts, Greg defends himself, then the internet forgets. That's how it usually used to seem to happen. But now we've got like Chris Hansen involved. Greg's name's being mentioned in the mainstream news. Just a while ago, about a month or so ago, I heard on a local radio station, the hosts were talking about Greg and what he was or what he's been up to. Like gotten off is it's come from the internet and is now in the real world. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
people I've met that know who Onision is and know what's going on, and used to that never happened.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is so crazy. I've never actually met anybody who knows anything much like about this whole drama internet situation. And I've also wondered, like, people they want to like throw their little clout card out there, like, "Ooh, I'm famous on the internet." It's like, well, I don't see nobody mentioning you, like, so it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
crazy that people are getting to that point.
I mean, when you get to a point where even major news organizations on the internet are talking about you, that's a whole different level of fame, really.
Exactly.
And if nothing else, even at the end of all this, Greg doesn't go to jail or justice isn't done. Him and Kai's reputation has been so damaged to a point where I don't see him ever recovering.
Yeah, and that's like a big debate right now going on. Is are their careers basically essentially over? And to be honest with you, they may get some new viewers, but the turnover rate in their communities is just so massive. It always has been, but now it's going to be even more massive. I don't
Uh,
think people are going to
oh,
stop, you know?
it's not even, we didn't even hard, well, I mean, the anti-O community had a lot to do with the damaging of his reputation, but he's damaging his own reputation. Like if somebody new who doesn't know anything about Onision wanted to watch Onision, how are they going to do it without paying for it? Nobody's going to want to pay for content that they don't have a clue about. I
Exactly.
mean, why would they want to? And the further he locks himself off, the further he chokes his own revenue in a sense, which is fine, I guess. But I mean, then still always has the option of opening it back up. I mean, if he does, he's going to open himself back up to scrutiny, so the cycle begins again.
Yeah. There was a tweet today from Shiloh, and basically the tweet was, looking back on this now, I wouldn't have spoken out, and that's not verbatim, but that's me just paraphrasing it. But I feel so horrible for her in this situation because, like, well, yes, there was some mistakes made. I mean, can you? She's a human being. She's only human. To be
Right.
attacked on that level and in this massive way, just for her to feel like she shouldn't have spoken out is horrible. To me, I also saw I don't know what they're called. The phrase, the term for it is escaping me, but the Nicholas Diorio basically paid for a shout out from Chris Hansen, and Chris Hansen didn't like know what was going on, or he did know what was going on and accepted that shout out. And inside the shout out, you basically get to say what you want people to say, or
Oh yeah, in
the person.
the Google Stream thing.
Yeah, and
Uh,
Chris Hansen basically said, Nicholas Diorio never doxed anybody and never done anything like that. And her tweet was like right after that, and I can't help but to think that that had a little something to do with that. In fact, I'll like play it really
well,
quick.
the problem with Nick Diorio is, give me a second. Sorry.
Oh, no worries.
The problem with Nick is that he the one thing I have a problem with, and the one thing I've latched onto with the Oreo, I'll just call it that.
Oh, yeah.
But with the Oreo is just the fact that he stated, "Oh, Sarah sent the laptop to Chris Hansen." No, she sent the laptop to Vincent, who was supposed to send the laptop to Chris Hansen, because Vincent had convinced Sarah that he would do it. And, Vincent's a whole different topic by himself. But the fact is that he's out there propagating this idea that she sent it to Chris Hansen, who didn't have anything to do, didn't, send it to anybody. It's like, that's not true. Like, if you're going to be participate in the Onision uh, situation as it's going on, at least get your facts straight, because there's too many people out there propagating what could be considered small misconceptions, but they really dismantled um, the whole essay that we have going against Odysseon. Like there was several misconceptions stated by Billy the Fridge in history, and it just bothers me that the people who want to jump on are people who don't really seem to fully understand what's going on, and they don't seem to fully understand that what they say could heavily damage the victim's reputation, which is not something anybody should do. I mean, you could be critical of the victims. I'm not saying don't be critical of like with the whole Sarah thing when she was asking for a laptop. Like, don't. I'm not saying don't be suspicious about it, but don't be paranoid about it. And if you're going to be paranoid about it, at least have the facts straight.
Yeah. It's one of these things where it's just that whole laptop
Like like
situation.
like the Oreo and Keemstar are literally like the anti-vaxxers of this whole situation. They think that they know what's going on. They think they know what's best, but really, in actuality, they're going to kill the whole operation if they're not careful.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree. And it's just one of those things that I don't know, man. Like, people are focusing on a lot of, I guess, for lack of a better term, things that don't make a lot of sense. Like the laptop, for example. I know it broke a lot of people's hearts, right? It even broke mine. Um, but in regards to fixating on something, I think that there has been a problem with fixating. Eventually, the
What?
laptop got back to her. She was able to get it to her FBI situation, and that was transferred. That's some good positives. Now I understand that Vincent had that whole situation go on, and that was all questionable. And it's like,
I
I question it. You
and
know what I mean? But like fixate
yeah,
is a different
I'll
thing.
go as far as to even say like I can understand people's criticism of her not wanting a laptop back then, not asking for help back then, but asking for help now. I can understand that. I can, I fully agree that I mean it does seem suspicious, but the girl's only 19 years old. She doesn't have a whole lot of life experience, and all the life experience she has, she suffered abuse from her own biological family, and then got fostered by two abusive people
Predator and have a
straight
seat with Chris Hansen.
afterwards. So I mean, she's not exactly like um experienced at dealing with not only a mass of people but just handling life in general.
Yeah.
And what do you expect from a 19-year-old? I mean, what do you expect from a 19-year-old who's really been abused? Because I know I suffered abuse from my ex marriage, and I mean, at first I didn't want any help. I didn't want anybody's help because I was afraid to accept help because I felt like that would open up the floodgates again, and I would end up in the same abusive situation I was in. But through trial and error, I ended up figuring out that there's certain people I can trust and there's certain people I can't,
Yeah.
and she has yet to really learn that. And I didn't learn that I didn't learn until probably about a year or so ago that there's a certain way you have to handle the abuse in your past,
Mm-hmm.
because if you handle it the wrong way, you're going to end up losing a lot of support and a lot of friends.
Yep.
And she just hasn't learned that yet.
And I can
And I
attest to
mean,
that. I mean, being 19 years old, I was in one of the worst relationships I've ever been in. It was a very short, quick relationship. I don't want to speak names or say what happened truly, but the thing was I came from a very, abusive situation. I was 17 when my trial ended, and so I really just had like a little over or a little under 2 years to try to repair my mind, which looking back on it now, knowing, being an adult now, I could have never have done. But I was naive to believe that I could have and start a relationship. And it was just one of those things where I let this person walk all over me and treat me like crap. And essentially I suffered, psychological abuse from it. And there was like
yeah,
a lot of stuff.
after my oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. There was just a lot of stuff that kind of went down. I let people walk all over me, and I didn't stand my ground. And I just decided, one day to take my life by the reins and get the, and get out of that situation. And I'm much happier ever since then. And it's just been one of those things where I look back on my 19-year-old self, and I'm thinking like, wow, how could I have ever thought that I was prepared to handle that type of relationship at that age? And I wish I would have known what I know now back then, because I wasn't, you know what I mean? And it was 19
Yeah.
turning like a little it was like turning like
But
6 months later 20, but still though, 19 years old, I didn't have the maturity level that I should have.
But I mean, I mean, I feel you on it being a bad experience for you, but experience is really life's best teacher. And if you don't stumble along the way, you'll never learn anything. And that's really just, I mean, other than really learning anything, I mean, why else would anybody be here?
Yeah. So I wanted to show you guys the Chris Hansen cameo for Nicholas Diorio.
Chris Hansen here of Hansen versus Predators, to catch a predator and have a seat with Chris Hansen. I'd like to give a big shout out to Nicholas Diorio. He's a great YouTuber. He's never doxed or harassed anyone as far as I can tell. If he does, I'm gonna come get him. But as of now, he doesn't have to have a seat with me anytime soon. But remember, I'll be watching. Chris Hansen.
So I want to know, like, was this something that he knew it was going on, and was he like essentially turning his back on Shiloh, or was he just being paid and fell right for it? Nicholas says, "Thank
I
you very
think
much, Chris
that
Hansen.
just
Very
sounds
cool."
like to me he's trying to mediate because really, I mean, he didn't say one way or the other. He just said for the time being, it doesn't seem like the Oreo is doing anything shady. But
Yeah,
in the future, if he does, he'll be having a seat with me. But for right now, no. I think he was trying to mediate and trying to, because I do think what happened between Diorio and Shiloh was in a lot of respects an error in communication,
yeah,
and I mean neither side really handled it. I mean I can I'll say that like the accusations that Diorio threw out were not only conspiratory in nature, but he didn't even have his facts straight. But I will also say that I'm not too keen on the idea of Shiloh sending people to mass flag his Twitter. But I mean, all the victims are unfortunately emotionally sensitive,
yeah,
and it's no telling how long that they might be emotionally sensitive because what happened to them was so personal and so traumatic that anybody who questions them or their group would immediately get attacked, and that's understandable. I mean,
yeah. I
they're
mean, to put
victims.
yourself
That's
in
what's
like
going to happen.
that frame, it's like I've personally been at a point, and this is just coming from my own experience, where I was getting a lot of hate, a lot of attacks from a certain group of people trying to leave a community last year, 2019. And there were some things that I said that I did not think about before I said it. There's some things that I did, some streams that
Mhm.
I had. Was it ever breaking the law? Was it ever breaking terms of service? No. But in regards to being snappy and regretting like what I say, yeah, absolutely. There have been a lot of things that I've apologized for, specifically in DMs to people, and would have never had said had I not felt like I was backed into a corner. I feel like what happened with this situation was, these people they're getting attacked on a daily basis. And yes, they essentially did speak out knowing this is going to happen. Maybe not to this level, but knowing that this is going to happen in a public way. But does that mean that she should have, sent somebody over? No. Did it mean that just because I felt attacked, and being doxxed and having my child's photo used or my address leaked and stuff like that, should I have attacked somebody like verbally? No. But I some people empathized with the fact that they understood why I kind of went to that extreme and why I lashed out.
Hmm.
We're only human at the end of the day, and now this is something that I wanted to point out too. This is Shiloh's Twitter. I hope the victims get justice, she says. But at this point, if I had the choice, I'd have never come forward publicly. No victim of abuse should have to relive their trauma, only to add more trauma for the masses of evil and uneducated people. So I think
Yeah.
what she means here is that a lot of people are only on Twitter. They haven't seen things. They maybe haven't watched the videos. They're the stands of Onision. They're not asking for the full picture, and they're coming at her and attacking. And this has been going on for months. So I'm sure there has been a breaking point
Oh,
at some
it's
point.
not even just months. It's been going on for years for these people.
Yeah,
Like Greg's fan base, people, the paranoid, contrarian group. I don't know what else to call them. They're not anti-O's. They're like anti-O's, I guess. But those guys, they constantly question everything that the victims go through. And as I've said a dozen times, like I'm not saying don't question their stories. Don't I mean, you can question their stories all day, but there's a difference between asking for clarification on some things and just outright being vicious because you can't, like Chris Hansen just does it perfectly. Like you watch the interviews Chris Hansen does with the victims, and he asks the hard questions, but when it comes to the victims themselves, he always does it in a very graceful way in order to keep from um, upsetting them or forcing them to relive their trauma. And he asked the proper clarifying question in order to get the answers that everybody might seek. And these anti-O people don't do that because they don't do their research. I mean, Chris Hansen's obviously done his research. I mean, he's proven it time and time again because he goes back into Greg's past sometimes and pulls out something that's relevant. But these anti-O people don't do that.
Yeah.
They just spout whatever their favorite YouTuber is saying and roll with it, whether it damned if it's right or not. That's basically their motto. And I mean, I've already proven I've already stated with like the Oreo and how he stated that the laptop went to Chris Hansen when it actually went to Vincent. But like that's not the only one. If you know what's going on with the situation, you can definitely find these kind of people, and because they'll say that one little thing that's out of place that a lot of people will just disregard as maybe them misspeaking or them not knowing. And but honestly, I'm at a point, if you're not going to bother to go back and do research, then you should just keep your mouth shut because you have no place in the anti-Onision crowd, and you have no place in this discussion because a lot of us are out here having watched this from the very early days. I personally have been watching this since Greg's divorce from Sky.
Yeah.
And that's a long time.
That is a long time.
8-9 years ago, and I've been keeping tabs on it ever since. And I only really started getting involved after the Billy incident, but I've been watching his stuff before then. And people like the Oreo and people like Keemstar don't like Keemstar even admitted himself, oh, there's so much. And it's just like, well, really, you just got to know if you know the victim stories, you can later on fill in the small details between it. It's not that complicated, Keemstar.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to say if you guys could like up the chat, that'd be really awesome. We're at 7 likes now, and there's quite a bit of people here. And thank you guys so much for being here. If you're new, subscribe. There's
Man, how many people we got watching? Oh, 42. Cool.
Right, that's like a lot for me. I'm proud of it. I'm not about to try to pretend I'm like something crazy with the live stream. So that's a goal for me. So thank you all for being
Yeah, it's
here.
nice actually seeing the chat pretty active.
Right? I'm like, oh my gosh. No. But for real though, like I've only been around since the Billy and Alaya. I'm sorry, I always get that wrong. But
Ayala.
I don't know why I have such a problem with it. She has a beautiful name.
God.
I'm just like dyslexic with it or something.
If I may add an addendum, she is the role model of friendship. Like if you want to compare your friends to somebody to see if you have a true friend, Ayala is the first person that comes to my mind.
Yeah, like that whole situation, I view their friendship as just a very tight knit thing, a very, loving thing. And I think that it's, and in a non weird way or anything like that. But I think it's just such a great thing to have friends like that on your side, and not on your side in a malicious type of way where they'll just do anything and say anything about anybody, but really just stick with it through the years. That's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful friendship.
Like a mentorship almost.
Yeah. I try not to interact with the Onion Boy fans, especially if I feel like they could be him, since there's proof he has made sock puppet accounts waste of brain cells. Oh yeah, I mean, there's like a few that I've seen that I've questioned because of the like words that people use, but I can never I don't really know the proof of any of it. I can't prove it. But yeah, I wouldn't doubt that he has made some accounts to stick up for himself. I mean, to be honest with you, he really doesn't seem like he has any sort of a line to draw in the sand in any capacity of the way, so that wouldn't be something that I feel like he would ever not stoop to. A lot of people do. I mean, I've seen a lot of creators go to that level, and really just it's easy to call out with like certain social cues and typing cues, and then sometimes they go out of their way to make sure that they try their best. But
I've gotten to a point that anytime I find somebody supporting Greg, I am in my mind, I'm always like, have you ever seen the movie The Room? Like the worst movie in the world, but it's worse, the worst movie in the world for all the right reasons. But there's a line that this guy says that he's like, "Oh, hi, Mark." Every time I hear somebody defending Greg, I just hear myself saying, "Oh, hi, Greg." Every time. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, they could be a legit person who's a legit fan of Onision, and I'm still like, "Oh, hi, Greg."
Yeah, like I personally, I have two accounts. My account for my stream, my streamers, the Heartbeats streamer, which although I'm gonna link that for you guys so that we can try to get up to that 500 goal, and my account. And my husband has his own account, and that's how that goes. Like I don't sit here and just waste my time trying to, I guess for lack of a better term, try to spam to fix hate about myself. Like if people are gonna hate, I'm not gonna watch it. You know what I mean? Like I may see it once or twice. I may go out of my way to warn some of my friends, but I'm not gonna sit there and fixate my life on it. It's just, to me, that's just not worth it.
And I mean, there's no real point in it. I mean, it's really just meaningless. I mean, you're so.
Whoa!
I
Thank you
mean,
for the super chat.
that's. Oh, is that your super chat chime or whatever?
Oh, new
That's cool.
subscriber, new subscriber. I actually have to
Oh,
put the
new
layer up.
subscriber.
Oops.
Oh, that's cool.
Thank you
But
for subscribing.
what was I going to say? Dang.
That was very loud. I might have to fix the audio on that.
Okay, I thought you were about to play the Keemstar rap video you
Oh
showed
my
me. It's
gosh,
just like,
guys.
oh dear God, please no again. Seriously, what was it? Dollar in the Woods? Was that the title, right?
Yeah. Oh my
I, I
god.
want I want everybody in the chat to go out and find that video and listen to it. Then listen
I found a
to
dollar in the
um
woods.
I Wish Grandpa's Never Died.
Oh
I
my
don't know who the
god.
artist is. And then listen to the Banana song and tell me that you would not rather listen to the Banana song than the other
I'm
two
literally
songs.
gonna play a snippet of it for you
Yo,
guys.
I'm about to burn down this house so you.
Hold on. It
Oh
literally
God, yeah.
started so
Because
violently already. It's like, what
because
the hell?
I like I said, like you cannot be a white rapper and
Uh-huh.
be coming up with this intro of just shouting whatever you think is quote unquote deep. And
Right.
then I mean what he says is just is it's not even like he it's like he's trying to be like Pink Guy or Filthy Frank or Joji or whatever name you know him under, but like he's trying to be like him, but he can't be because he's not skilled enough to be.
Yeah. So you guys, you have to hear this a little bit. I'm just gonna play a snippet for everybody here.
Yo, I'm about to burn down this house. Are you fucking ready? Are you ready? I'm about
This
to
is too much already.
bars like diarrhea. I'm about to
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Like diarrhea. What?
That was the part that got me. It's like God, the beat is so awful.
Walked in the woods. Found a dead dollar. Found a dead dollar.
And he's going to that trope of rap music where it's just, oh, if I repeat this saying enough, I'll get my song will get big. And it's like, really, if that's all you've got, you've got nothing. Like
Right.
all he has a substance in that few seconds of it is uh, shouting some incoherent nonsense, trying to act like he's like a black rapper when he's just some white boy from a trailer park.
He is trying to act
Then
super cool and like he's got like the
then
rhythm.
drops
It's
a
like, yeah.
terrible beat like Keemstar. There's more instruments than drums. Like there's more sounds than just bass sounds. Like there's different levels of it. Like try like adding something to it because having just a thump 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 is not making music because anybody can do that. And then like he just repeats, "Oh, I found $1 in the woods. I found $1 in the woods." It's like,
Good night,
what
doctor.
what kind of deep thing are you trying to translate to me, or what are you trying to be funny or something? Because like finding $1 in the woods is not a subject of comedy. Like it's more of a subject of good fortune. But I mean, I'm just wondering where he was going with this song.
Oh yeah,
Like
like there was a point.
is he writing about his life? Like is his life as a big YouTuber so boring outside of the internet that the only thing he can talk about is like, oh, I found $1 in the woods. Well, great. I found a penny under the vending machine at work. What the
I'm
can
gonna
do?
open the transcripts and read it for you guys. Walked in the woods, found $1, found $1. Walked in the woods, yeah, found $1, found $1. Walked in the woods, okay, found $1, found $1. I got my Yeezys on in the woods, nice. I got my Yeezys on, I'm feeling good. Clickbait, clickbait, this dollar, this whole fake shit. Or this whole shit fake. Oh shit, this was a trap, let's go. Walked in the woods, all right, found $1, found $1. Walked in the woods. Oh my gosh, there's this part, F me in the butt. I'm like, what is happening? Oh my god, I found $1 in the woods. I'm feeling so good. Should I share it? I guess I could. I picked it up. Yes, the dollar was real. Whose dollar was it? I don't want to steal. I'm sorry. This is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's like there's more to rap than just, rhyming. I mean, anybody can rhyme. It's like
Oh my gosh.
there's Onision raps about deeper stuff than what Keemstar, that one rap that Keemstar ever could touch. Like the stuff Onision raps about is like, all lies that he's told. But I mean, Onision does have a rhythm and does have a beat. Keemstar doesn't have either one of those things.
Oh my gosh. I just had like a PTSD moment of the ending of Onision's videos. That little rhythm thing he does, like, oh gosh, that just was too much. Onision. Yeah.
The Onision.
Yeah, I can't with that. Oh my god, that haunts me. That haunts me. It literally haunts me. But I mean, I'm going to actually close down the stream now, guys. Thank you so much for being in the chat with me, and thank you so much for being on panel with me. You were awesome, and this was a lot of fun, and I hope to do this soon with a lot of people, including you again. And it was just really awesome being with you guys, and I'm sorry about the rough start we had. I think I was overloading my sound system. I don't really know. We'll see how that goes. But I'm going to try to tweak it to where we can have, like, people up on the screen and have the OBS and everything, like the whole setup work, and I'm still learning, so bear with me.
Yeah, I hope we can get it all, or rather, I hope you can get it all set up to where we can actually react to
Right.
Keemstar's full video if he ever produces it. I still have my doubts about that.
Yeah, like that would be crazy if this was like all clickbait or something like that. But yeah, definitely. I'll tweak it a little bit and we'll see how it goes, and then the next time I'll actually do a tester stream so that doesn't happen again. But thank you guys again for being here, and subscribe if you're new. Like up the stream if you guys could. That really does help me out. And I just want to say thank you again, and thank you to everybody who is constantly here showing support and sharing their stories with us and giving feedback. It's just awesome to have this sort of conversation with you guys. Even if we don't always agree with each other, we don't always have to agree with each other. We're adults here, most of us, and so it's like, just we've got that, I think, under our belt in this community, and I'm really thankful for you guys being part of the Heartbeat. Again, thank you so much, and have a good night.